Okay, let's unpack this. What's the most um, intimate object in human design history? It might surprise you, but, well, it could be the chair.
Really? The chair.
Yeah, think about it. It's more than just a place to sit. It's kind of a silent witness to our evolution. We're about to embark on a deep dive into the fascinating world of chairs.
Hmm.
You probably think you know chairs, but trust us, by the end of this you'll see them not just as furniture, but as really powerful statements.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is how deeply the chair is interwoven with power, with society, and of course, technology.
Right.
To trace its history is really to trace civilization itself. Our mission today is to explore the chair's journey from, being this exclusive symbol of authority to becoming an everyday object for pretty much everyone.
Okay.
We'll highlight that enduring tension. Is the chair a status symbol, or is it just a utilitarian tool? We'll try to connect the dots between ancient thrones, industrial marvels, art installations, and, well, even the smart chairs of tomorrow.
It's amazing how much one object can reveal.
Exactly. Something so common tells us so much about ourselves.
I'm fascinated by how deep this goes.
Ugh.
What was the earliest sign that a chair wasn't just furniture, but something, far more meaningful?
That's a great question, because right from the very beginning, a chair was never just a chair. I mean, the word itself, chair, traces back to the Latin cathedra.
Ah, like cathedral.
Precisely, or chairman. It's
Hmm.
sort of whispers of status. For millennia, literally thousands of years, if you had a chair, you were someone important.
Hmm.
In antiquity, the chair wasn't really about comfort at all. It was about rule, maybe divine right, even.
So pure symbolism then.
Pretty much. The earliest known chairs, they date back to Egypt's early dynastic period, around 3100 BC. They make this abundantly clear.
Yeah.
These weren't for casual lounging, definitely not. They were very low, often just 10 inches high, made of precious materials, ebony, ivory, gilded wood. They were for ceremony, for projecting power.
Right.
But here's the really chilling part. Their legs were frequently carved as powerful beasts, or even more strikingly, as bound captives.
Get out. Bound captive.
Yeah, imagine sitting on a chair whose legs literally depicted your subjugated enemies.
Wow. That's intense.
It really is. This was designed as brutal propaganda, making a very clear statement about military might and, who was in charge. And the hierarchy was literal.
How so?
The higher your chair, the higher your rank. A pharaoh's elevated throne, usually with a footstool, placed him symbolically above everyone else. Even in, say, well-off homes, the chair was exclusively for the master of the house.
So design is propaganda. That really makes you think about everyday objects differently.
Absolutely. So much unspoken communication embedded right there.
Okay, so the Greeks and Romans also had chairs of power, but I gather they tell kind of different stories about their cultures.
They do, yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really shows how furniture can embody philosophical, even political ideals.
Mm.
The quintessential Greek chair was the klizmos. It appears in art from maybe the 6th or 7th centuries BCE.
Klizmos, right?
It was incredibly elegant, quite rare actually, with a gracefully curved backrest and these distinctive outcurved legs. You see the klizmos on the Parthenon frieze. Zeus himself is sitting on one.
Oh, okay.
It gets associated with philosopher scholars, too. Its very form suggested a kind of fixed cerebral authority rooted in intellect and divinity.
Interesting. And the Romans?
Well, contrast that with the emblematic Roman seat of power, the curule chair. This was much more practical. An X-framed folding stool, often made of ivory or metal.
Folding.
Yes,
Yeah.
its key feature was its portability. It was reserved for high-ranking magistrates and officials. The curule was a mobile symbol of administrative authority.
Ah.
Think about it. For a vast empire built on law, administration, conquest, a chair that carried the authority of the office with it, wherever that office needed to be set up, that was incredibly powerful and efficient.
So it moved with the power. Gotcha. And then fast forward to the Middle Ages, chairs apparently became even rarer, like sacred relics.
That's right. It's kind of wild to think about how few people actually sat on a dedicated chair back then. They weren't just seats, they were almost sacred objects, literally visual sermons embodying divine right.
Examples.
Well, take the 6th century chair of Maximian in Ravenna. It's a masterpiece, carved marble, high rounded back, absolutely covered in high-relief gospel scenes. It directly links the bishop's authority to divine scripture.
Wow.
Or the early Merovingian chair of Dagobert. That's a falled stool made of cast bronze representing raw Frankish power. Now, perhaps the most famous is the coronation chair.
At Westminster Abbey.
That's the one. Created in the late 13th century for King Edward III. It's what they call an architectural type, high back like a Gothic church gable. This wasn't just furniture, it was a massive political statement.
How so?
It linked the monarch's power directly to the permanence and sacred geometry of a cathedral. It quite literally doubled as an altar for the coronation ceremony.
Incredible. So, okay, we've got thousands of years where the chair is basically this VIP pass, a symbol of extreme power, exclusivity. How did something so profoundly elite begin its journey towards, well, us, towards being a tool for the masses?
Right. That transformation, it truly begins with the Renaissance. That really marked the start of the chair's democratization.
What drove that?
Well, a couple of things. The rise of a new merchant class, for one. They were eager to display their newfound status, and also a cultural shift towards the home as a space for comfort, for social life.
Makes sense.
It was during this period that the chair, as they say, ceased to be a privilege of state and became, well, a standard item for anyone who could afford one. And with that, chair design started following fashion instead of theology.
Fashion, huh? So people cared what their chairs looked like in a new way.
Exactly. And this is perfectly illustrated by the emergence of specialized domestic chairs, chairs designed for specific home activities. For example, the farthingale chair, late 16th century, it was armless, had a really wide base. Why? Specifically to accommodate the huge hooped skirts women wore then.
Huh. Practical design.
Totally. Or another innovation was the cockatoir, the conversation chair. It featured a sort of trapezoidal seat, splayed arms, a U-shape basically, designed for easy social interaction.
So people could chat more easily?
Precisely. The chair wasn't just a symbol anymore. It became an enabler of social life. It allowed people to gather comfortably in their homes, to converse. It's hard to imagine modern social life without that fundamental shift.
That's a fascinating point. It's not just about owning a chair, but how that ownership changes the way people actually live and interact.
Exactly.
Okay, this leads us nicely to a really remarkable example of early mass production, but without a factory. The English Windsor chair. Looks simple, right? But apparently it was a marvel of pre-industrial ingenuity.
It absolutely was. This system was, in effect, a kind of decentralized supply chain. It actually foreshadowed principles of mass production we see much later.
Huh. How did it work?
Well, the Windsor chair emerged as early as the 16th century, probably evolved from older Welsh and Irish stick-back designs. Its construction was this masterpiece of divided labor, involving 3 distinct types of craftsmen.
3 types.
Yeah. First, you had the bodger. These were itinerant craftsmen. They worked out in the woods. They used a pole lathe, a very simple leg-powered lathe, to turn green wood into legs and spindles right there at the source. Super efficient.
Okay, the bodger. Who else?
Then there was the benchman. This was a workshop craftsman, usually in town. They made the solid, often saddle-shaped seat and other parts that needed sawing.
Got it.
And finally, the framer. They assembled all the components, wedged them together for strength, and finished the chair. The components were then shipped from production centers like High Wycombe to Windsor.
Ah, Windsor. That's where the name comes from.
Exactly. Windsor was the trading hub for London dealers, hence the Windsor chair. And here's another interesting twist on its social journey. When English settlers brought these forms over to North America, they often got re-imbued with a sense of authority again.
Really? How?
Well, in the less rigidly stratified society of New England, these large armchairs became known as great chairs. Think of the Brewster chair or the Carver chair. They were used by colonial leaders, people like Governor John Carver or Elder William Brewster, as symbols of local, often elected authority. Not divine right this time, but authority nonetheless.
Fascinating. Okay, so we've seen the chair democratized bit by bit, moving from palaces to parlors, but then, bam, the Industrial Revolution hits. That sounds like a truly seismic shift, taking us from craft to real mass production. What did that mean for the chair and, maybe more importantly, for people?
Yeah, the Industrial Revolution fundamentally transformed production. It made chairs accessible to nearly everyone, which in turn profoundly changed home life. But as you hinted, it also created this lasting tension between traditional craft and commercial scale, a tension that frankly still defines furniture today.
How did the technology change things so drastically?
Well, new technologies like the steam engine-powered machinery, circular saws, bandsaws, planers, production shifted from individual workshops to large-scale factories.
Right. Economies of scale.
Exactly. The result: chairs became significantly more affordable, much more widely available. Think about this. By the 1830s, American households could buy matched sets of chairs from mail-order catalogs like Sears.
Wow, matched sets. That's a big change.
It is. By the 1800s, it was becoming common for every family member to have their own chair at the dinner table. This wasn't just about price. It signified a new sense of individual dignity, maybe, and comfort within the home. A huge leap from that single master's chair of earlier times.
And if there's one chair that really embodies this era, it's the Thonet number 14, right? I bet most people listening have sat in one, maybe in a cafe, without even realizing its incredible story.
Absolutely. Introduced in 1859 by Michael Thonet, it was a total triumph of industrial design. He perfected this process for steam-bending solid beechwood.
Steam bending.
Yeah, using steam to make the wood pliable enough to bend into curves without biting. He created this remarkably strong, elegant chair from just 6 components. 6.
That's it.
That's it. And the genius part? It could be packed flat.
Oh, the original flat pack.
Pretty much, for incredibly efficient shipping. And then it could be assembled on-site by, well, unskilled labor. It became a global phenomenon. It is the quintessential cafe and bistro chair, a true symbol of modern, accessible design.
Amazing. But the revolution wasn't just about wood, was it?
No, not at all. New materials like cast iron and steel frames further reduced costs and, crucially, enabled totally new designs. Think of Peter Cooper's iron-framed rocking chair from the 1830s. It ingeniously used the curve of its metal frame itself to create the rocking motion.
Clever.
And at the same time, stronger imported timbers allowed 18th century designers like George Hepplewhite and Robert Adam to create much lighter, more delicate frames, a sort of slimming down that shifted the focus towards elegance. And really importantly, physical comfort became a central feature for a much broader public for the first time.
Comfort. How so?
Well, while those early chairs were bare wood, the 17th century saw the beginnings of integrated upholstery, leather, velvet, silk for the wealthy. Then, those lighter 18th century frames could support, quote, many layers of stuffing. Comfort wasn't just for kings anymore. A wider public could now actually sit in comfort.
But, okay, progress always has its dissenters, right? Not everyone was thrilled with this brave new world of mass production. Sounds like a debate we're still having today, actually.
It absolutely is. This was more than just an aesthetic preference, you know? It was a profound social critique of industrial capitalism. It championed traditional craftsmanship, the dignity of human labor.
This is the arts and crafts movement.
Exactly. Led by figures like William Morris and John Ruskin in England. They championed traditional techniques, simple forms often derived from nature, and the artistic expression of the individual artisan.
So, back to the maker.
Right. It effectively created a whole new niche for handcrafted, artisanal furniture. It established the very concept of the designer piece as a deliberate statement against mass-produced goods. This movement set up an ideological divide that, honestly, still resonates. You have affordable, uniform furniture for the masses on one side and unique, handmade art objects by the repositioned artist on the other. That schism really defined furniture debates throughout the 20th century.
You can really feel that tension. And then the 20th century arrives, and it truly earns its nickname, the golden age of the modern chair. It sounds like designers, new materials, radical philosophies just exploded the possibilities. How did this happen?
It really did. The chair became a kind of crucible, a testing ground for the most important ideas of the age. Everything from the union of art and industry to the very nature of modern life itself.
And unlike arts and crafts, modernism didn't reject the machine. It embraced it, right? Turned form follows function into a kind of mantra.
Exactly. Form follows function meant that a design's appearance should ideally be dictated purely by its purpose and its material, stripping away all that unnecessary ornamentation. The German Bauhaus school, founded by Walter Gropius in the 1920s and 30s, was really the epicenter of this new way of thinking.
The Bauhaus, legendary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Its core philosophy was this union of art, craft, and technology to create functional, affordable, and beautiful objects for modern life. Think of Marcel Breuer, famously inspired by the tubular steel frame of his Aber bicycle.
His bike. Seriously.
Yep. He created the revolutionary B3 Wassily chair in 1925. It was light, strong, unapologetically industrial, stripped right down to essential lines. His aim. He wanted to make the sitter feel like they were floating on a resilient column of air.
Wow.
And this exploration of tubular steel led to arguably the ultimate modernist statement, the cantilever chair.
The one with no back legs.
That's the one. First developed by Mart Stam, then perfected by Ludwig Mies van der Rohe with his MR20 chair, and also by Marcel Breuer with his iconic Scheska chair. This form, with that dramatic absence of back legs, it seemed to defy gravity. It was a perfect visual metaphor for modernism's radical break with tradition, its embrace of new possibilities.
It's incredible how those chairs still feel both historic and utterly contemporary. So after World War II, designers kept the industrial techniques but maybe softened the edges a bit, made forms more organic, more human-centered. What changed there?
That's a great way to put it. They sought to balance that machine age functionality with warmth, with comfort, creating pieces that are still truly iconic today. Alvar Aalto, the Finnish architect, he pioneered using bent and laminated plywood.
Plywood, like hardware store plywood.
Well, a much more sophisticated version for warm, flowing forms. His Paimio armchair from 1930 was actually designed for tuberculosis patients. The bent plywood was intended to make breathing easier design, literally serving health needs. Then you have the American husband and wife team, Charles and Ray Ames, masters of molded plywood and later fiberglass. They created some of the most beloved chairs ever, like their LCW, the lounge chair wood, and of course the enduring Eames lounge chair and ottoman from 1956.
The Eames lounge chair, the ultimate symbol of cool comfort.
Exactly. It became this enduring symbol of sophisticated modern comfort, genuinely luxurious and inviting, something you could really sink into and relax in.
Who else was key in this period?
Eero Saarinen, the Finnish-American architect, he sought visual clarity, designing these unified sculptural forms using molded fiberglass and cast aluminum. His tulip chair from 56 rests so dramatically on a single pedestal, a really bold, clean statement.
Right, the tulip chair.
And his womb chair from 48 was actually designed at the request of Florence Knoll. She asked for a chair one could curl up in. So again, that emphasis on comfort, on
I
coziness.
like that, a chair you can curl up in.
And then there's the Danish designer Werner Panton. His vibrant Panton chair, launched in 1967, was a real game changer. It was the world's first chair manufactured from a single, continuous piece of injection molded plastic.
One piece. Wow.
Yeah. Its flowing S-shaped curve is just a perfect, seamless expression of its material. It's a landmark of 20th century design, no question.
Wow. Sounds like every material, every angle was a new challenge to conquer.
Yes.
But okay, by the 80s, all those strict modernist rules, they must have started to feel a bit like a straitjacket, right? Was it time for some fun?
Absolutely. Postmodernism burst onto the scene as this exuberant, often quite ironic rejection of that whole form follows function creed. Their rallying cry was basically, less is a bore.
Less is a bore. I love it.
Right. They embraced ornamentation, emotion, playfulness. This movement was really spearheaded by the Milan-based Memphis group founded in 1981 by Ettore Sottsass.
Yeah, wild stuff.
Totally wild. They embraced bright, saturated colors, bold, often clashing graphic patterns, historical references, overt ornamentation. They delighted in mixing lowbrow materials, plastic laminate, neon with traditionally highbrow forms. The furniture was designed to be witty, surprising, to get an emotional reaction, basically challenging all your assumptions about what furniture should look like or be.
So very anti-minimalist.
Oh, completely. And American architect Robert Venturi's Queen Anne chair from 1984, created with his partner Denise Scott Brown, perfectly encapsulates the spirit.
How so?
It takes the elegant silhouette of an 18th century Queen Anne chair, flattens it into this almost cartoonish plywood cutout, and then covers it in a super kitschy floral grandmother pattern.
Oh, that's cheeky.
Totally. It playfully thumbs its nose at modernist purity, at historical reverence, even at our ideas of high versus low culture, all at the same time. Other iconic designs from this era include Terje Ekstrom's sculptural Ekstrom chair, which looks like upholstered tubes kind of wrapped around each other, and Pierre Paulin's cloud-like Pasha lounge chair, which has no legs at all. They were chairs designed to evoke a feeling, not just serve a function.
That's a truly rebellious and, yeah, refreshing take. Okay, so beyond these big design movements, what about chairs driven purely by specific human needs? How have those evolved? It feels like a different kind of story.
It is. These case studies really show the pursuit of comfort, sometimes the raw power of user-led innovation, and even the surprising application of science to the simple act of sitting.
Let's start with one everyone knows, the rocking chair, associated with soothing, relaxation. You might think Benjamin Franklin invented it, but apparently that's a myth.
And that's right. It's a common misconception. Its origins are actually traced back to early 18th century North America, likely evolved from the much older idea of the rocking cradle. Makes sense.
The actual term rocking chair first appeared in the Oxford English Dictionary in 1787. Early versions were often just simple garden chairs or maybe Windsor chairs with curved rockers attached to the legs. The American Shakers really perfected the design, creating some of the most elegant, minimalist examples.
Checker rockers, yeah. Beautiful.
And distinct styles emerged, like the Boston Rocker high spindleback scrolled seat, usually painted black with stencils. Then, in 1860, Michael Thonnet, our friend from earlier,
The Bentwood guy.
the Bentwood guy, he applied his revolutionary steam bending process to create the iconic Bentwood rocker. Its association with comfort was really solidified in the 20th century when President John F. Kennedy famously used a rocking chair to help alleviate his chronic back pain. It became a familiar sight in the White House.
Right, JFK's rocker. Okay, what about the wheelchair? That feels like a really important story.
It is. The history of the wheelchair is, I think, a really powerful narrative of empowerment. And what's key here is that the most significant innovations were driven by users themselves, often out of sheer necessity. That's interesting. How did it start?
Well, for centuries, wheelchairs were mostly passive devices, just for transporting the elite or the infirm. An early documented example was made for King Philip II of Spain back in 1595, plush, four-wheeled, but it needed a servant to push it.
So not independent mobility.
Not at all. The popular 18th century bath chair was similar, pushed by an attendant, though the occupant could steer it a bit.
Okay. So when did self-propulsion come in?
The revolutionary leap towards independence happened way back in 1655. The first self-propelled wheelchair was invented by Stefan Farfler. He was a 22-year-old paraplegic watchmaker from Germany.
A watchmaker.
Yeah. He used hand cranks and cogwheels to move himself forward. Imagine the freedom that must have granted him. It's incredible.
Truly. What was the next big step?
The next great leap was also user-led, much later. The modern, lightweight, tubular steel X-frame folding wheelchair. The design we basically still see today was patented in the 1930s. It came out of a collaboration between an engineer, Harry Jennings, and Herbert Everest.
And Everest was the user.
Exactly. Everest had been paralyzed in a mining accident. His personal experience drove the demand for a lightweight, collapsible chair, one that could be easily transported in a car. This radically increased freedom and mobility for disabled people. This user-led design became the basis for virtually all modern manual wheelchairs and, sadly, saw a huge surge in demand after World War II for injured veterans.
A powerful story of necessity driving innovation. Okay, last one in this category, the office chair. If you're sitting while listening to this, maybe at work, you owe a lot to this particular evolution, from a simple hack to a whole science.
It's absolutely true. And the first office chair was literally a simple functional hack by none other than Charles Darwin.
Darwin, really?
Yeah, back in the 1840s, he apparently put wheels on his armchair in his study so he could scoot between his specimen tables without having to get up all the time.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
But early purpose-built ones weren't always great.
No, definitely not. Feinkloed Wright's 1904 Larkin building chair, designed specifically for typists, was famously unstable, prone to tipping over. It actually earned the grim nickname, the suicide chair.
Yikes. Not ideal for productivity.
Not exactly. The true birth of ergonomics, the science of designing for human efficiency and comfort, really happened in the 1970s.
Okay.
The Italian-designed vertebra chair from 1976 was one of the first to feature automatic adjustments, recognizing that different bodies need different support. But the real breakthrough was the Ergon chair, designed by Bill Stump for Herman Miller, also in 1976.
Ergon, what was special about it?
This was the first chair explicitly designed around human factors engineering, focusing on health and comfort. It had contoured foam padding, advanced spine support, gas lift levers for height adjustment. It was based on science.
Right.
And this whole scientific approach culminated in probably the most iconic office chair of the modern era, the Aran chair from 1994.
Ah, the Aran, the dot-com throne.
Exactly. Designed by Bill Stumpf again, this time with Don Chadwick. The Aran became the status symbol of the 1990s tech boom. It introduced this radical new aesthetic with its translucent pellicle mesh for breathability and flexible support, and a whole host of advanced ergonomic features like a reactive tilt mechanism that supports the body's natural pivot points as you move.
So it adapts to you.
Precisely. It was a chair designed not just for how it looked, but for what the body actually needs to function comfortably, especially during long hours of work.
Okay, so beyond function, chairs also hold this unique place in art and culture, don't they? Because they're scaled to the human body, they become this powerful stand-in for us, or sometimes even a deep philosophical puzzle.
That's very true. The chair can absolutely act as a stand-in for a person, embodying their presence or absence, or it can be used as a conceptual tool to make us question the nature of reality itself.
What are some key examples in art?
Well, perhaps the most famous examples are Vincent van Gogh's two paintings from 1888, Van Gogh's chair and Gauguin's chair.
Right, I know those.
They're not just still lifes, are they? They're deeply personal, symbolic portraits. Van Gogh's own chair is simple, rustic, his pipe and tobacco pouch left on the seat. It feels like a humble, intimate self-portrait.
Yeah.
In contrast, Gauguin's chair is more ornate, more sophisticated, with a candle and 2 books resting on it. Van Gogh painted them during a very turbulent period in their friendship, and the empty seats powerfully evoke their distinct personalities, their presence, and maybe ultimately their absence. You feel their essence, even without them being physically there.
That's a great way to put it. What about that conceptual piece?
Ah, you must mean Joseph Kosuth's 1 and 3 chairs from 1965, a cornerstone of conceptual art.
That's the one. Explain that again.
Okay, so the piece presents 3 versions of a chair simultaneously. You have a physical, actual wooden folding chair. Then right next to it, a life-size black and white photograph of that exact chair. And next to that, a printed dictionary definition of the word chair.
Okay, so what's the point?
Well, Kosuth strips the chair of its normal function, right?
Yeah.
You can't sit on the photo or the definition. He transforms it into this philosophical puzzle. It forces you, the viewer, to ask, which one of these is the real chair? Is it the tangible object you could sit on? Is it the visual representation in the photo? Or is it the abstract idea, the concept, represented by the dictionary definition? It uses this incredibly common, everyday object to deconstruct our understanding of art, reality, and representation itself. It really challenges how we perceive and categorize the world around us.
That's definitely mind-bending. And speaking of unexpected roles for chairs, there are some truly wild and quirky facts surrounding them too, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely. History is full of odd chair trivia. For instance, get this. The first electric chair wasn't actually invented for executions.
Then what for?
It was developed by employees of Thomas Edison back in 1889. It was basically a publicity stunt during his War of Currents with George Westinghouse. Edison wanted to demonstrate that Westinghouse's AC electricity was dangerously lethal compared to his own DC system.
Wow, dark origins. What else?
Or how about the simple children's game, musical chairs? It's this playful enactment of scarcity and competition, right? It's thought to have first appeared around 1877.
Never thought about its meaning like that.
And for a testament to modern workplace creativity, the first organized office chair race was held in Germany in 2009, turning a tool of productivity into a full-blown, if slightly absurd, sport.
Office chair racing.
Okay.
Any endurance records?
Of course. The world record for the longest continuous time spent moving in a rocking chair is an astonishing 480 hours. That's 20 days. Achieved by a Dennis Easterling of Atlanta.
20 days rocking. Dedication.
Indeed. And our very own Thomas Jefferson is widely credited with inventing the first swivel chair.
Jefferson.
Yep. He apparently modified a Windsor armchair with an iron spindle so it could rotate, and it's believed he may have actually drafted parts of the Declaration of Independence while sitting in it.
A swivel chair moment in history.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Even Shakespeare found chairs noteworthy. They get mentioned 3 times in a single play, Henry VI, Part 3.
Okay, so this has been an incredible journey. What does this all mean for us now? The chair has come such a long way from the pharaoh's throne, but its evolution is clearly far from over. Where is it heading?
You're absolutely right. The future of the chair is being shaped right now by some really powerful trends in technology and health and sustainability. It's all pointing towards a new generation of seating that's, well, smarter, healthier, and much more personalized than ever before.
How so? What are the key drivers?
I think we can break it down into maybe 4 key pillars of future design.
Okay, pillar 1.
First, advanced ergonomics and health. Future chairs, they're moving beyond just passive support. They're becoming active health tools. We're seeing active sitting technologies chairs that encourage micro movements to keep you from being static. Self-adaptive lumbar systems that automatically adjust to your posture. Weight sensing mechanisms for truly dynamic support. The goal here isn't just to prevent pain, but to actively promote well-being throughout your day.
So the chair as a wellness device. Okay, pillar 2.
Second, smart technology integration. The chair is becoming a connected device, plugging into the Internet of Things. We can expect integrated sensors, things that track your posture and give you real-time feedback, maybe alerts to your phone, AI-driven adjustments that learn your preferences over time, seamless integration with fitness apps, maybe automatically telling your standing desk when it's time to change position, and of course, built-in power and charging are already becoming pretty common. The chair as part of your digital ecosystem.
Makes sense. Pillar 3.
Third, sustainability and circularity. This is huge. There's a growing demand for genuinely eco-friendly design, which directly addresses the legacy of mass production. This means using sustainable and recycled materials, think bamboo, recycled plastics, low VOC fabrics, reclaimed wood.
Right.
But it goes beyond just materials. It's about product stewardship, designing for durability, for repairability, for easy disassembly at the end of its life, so components can be easily replaced or the whole thing can be full of recycled. Creating a truly circular economy for furniture, it's about building chairs that last, yes, but also respect the planet.
Critically important. Okay, and the fourth pillar.
Finally, personalization and what's being called resumercial aesthetics, the old one-size-fits-all model, it's fading fast. Mass personalization technologies will allow users to tailor chairs to their specific body dimensions, their aesthetic preferences.
Tailor-made chairs for everyone.
That's the direction. And this ties into the resumercial trend, that blend of residential and commercial design. It's driven largely by hybrid work, blurring the lines between home and office. People want chairs that are highly ergonomic for work, yes, but that also have the soft, inviting look and feel of residential furniture. Something that looks good in your living room, not just a corporate office. That makes so much sense. It really sounds like the chair's long journey is kind of coming full circle, but in a really unexpected, tech-enabled way. What's the ultimate implication of all this for us, the sitters?
It really is coming full circle. You know, the earliest chairs, those Egyptian ones, they were essentially bespoke objects, customized only for a single powerful ruler. The future now promises mass personalization, using technology to bring that tailored quality, that perfect fit, potentially to everyone. The modernists, they dreamed of the house as a machine for living. Well, the smart chair is literally fulfilling that dream on a smaller scale, becoming a machine that actively monitors and improves our well-being. The industrial era gave us mass production. The sustainability movement forces this new moral and environmental calculus into the design. So the future chair, really, is a synthesis of its entire past.
How so?
It aims to be as personalized as a pharaoh's throne, as technologically advanced as a modernist's fantasy could imagine, and as ethically and environmentally responsible as the arts and crafts movement demanded way back when. It's bringing all those threads together. Wow. From ancient thrones built for gods and kings, to humble folding stools, from industrial marvels like the Thonet, to the most cutting-edge smart seating. The chair really has mirrored humanity's journey every single step of the way. It's been a symbol, a tool, an art object, and now, yeah, it's becoming a partner in our health.
Ultimately, the chair's evolution is this ongoing dialogue, isn't it? Between function and meaning, between our individual needs and our broader societal values. It is and always has been a constant reflection of who we are and what we value at any given moment in human history.
So the next time you sit down, maybe take a second. Consider not just where you are, but the incredible 5,000-year journey of the object that's holding you up.
Yeah.
What will your chair of the future look like? And maybe more importantly, what news story will it tell about you?